A pull-out tray and floor will slide into channels that are installed on the bottom of the cage. Room for the pull-out accessories is created by installing pull-out corner caps on the bottom corner joints of the cage. The pull-out tray will require some assembly, but a pull-out floor should arrive pre-assembled. Parts you will need: 4 pull-out tray corner caps, the 3RT track work, 4 small black sheet metal screws, and a Phillips head screwdriver. If you are in the process of building the cage, you may have already done this step. The pull-out tray corner caps are installed onto the corner joints on the bottom of the cage after all the corner joint socket screws are fully tightened. Use the small black sheet metal screws to hold the corner caps in place. Do not over-tighten the screws. While the cage is flipped over onto its top, install the 3RT track work that the pull-out tray and floor will slide into. The 3RT track work has 2 types of extensions along its length. One type is flat and will be oriented towards the inside of the cage. This is the part of the track that the accessories will slide into. The other type has a bend in it. This is the part of the track that will snap into the 33S aluminum frame on the bottom of the cage. If your cage does not include a removable divider, you will have 3 pieces of 3RT track work. 1 long piece for the back frame of the cage and 2 shorter pieces for the side frames. If your cage does include a removable divider, you will have the 2 pieces of track for the side frames and several small pieces of track for the back frame. The bent extensions in the track work snap into the open channel inside the aluminum frame. Be careful. Once the track work is installed, it is very hard to remove. Make sure that the track work is positioned where you want it to be before snapping it into the frame. On a cage with a removable divider, the track for the back of the cage is cut into several small pieces. If you have not already done so, watch the tutorial video H3009 removable divider assembly before installing the 3RT track work on the back frame of the cage. You will need to know where the location of the removable divider track is before snapping in the small sections of 3RT track work. If you are in the process of assembling your cage and took a time out from a video to come see how to install this track work, you can now return to video H3007 finishing the cage, hood, and stand and complete the stacking of the sections. The pull-out tray itself will require some assembly. You will need the pull-out tray laminate panel, the pull-out tray corner joints, the PTF aluminum frame pieces, the pieces of 2UC U-channel, thread forming screws, and a Phillips head screwdriver. Before starting the assembly of the tray, take a close look at the pull-out tray corner joint. Note that there are 2 different channels for the screws, like there are different types of channels in the corner joints used to assemble the enclosure frames. One side of the pull-out tray corner joint has holes through which the screws will be inserted, and the other has channels that the screws will be set into from the side. Also take a look at the exposed ends of the PTF aluminum frame. The points where the screws will be driven are small semicircular openings in the corners of the internal channels of the frame. When you start, there will be no threads in the openings of the screws. The thread forming screws will cut these threads as they are driven into the frame. Therefore, it is important that the screws in the frame line up correctly when you drive the screws. Lay out the aluminum panel and plastic U-channel strips oriented as they will go together. Start at one corner of the panel and push the U-channel onto its edge, with the end of the channel even with the corner of the panel. This should leave a gap at the other end of the channel. Start the next piece of U-channel in the gap left by the first piece of U-channel and push it onto the edge of the panel. Repeat this process until all the edges of the panel are covered with U-channel. Lay out all the parts of the pull-out tray in the positions that they will be in the finished tray. This will help you visualize the assembly process. Look at how the corner joints are lined up with the frame. One end of the frame will line up with the side of a corner joint where the screws need to be inserted through the holes in the joint before being driven into the aluminum frame. Insert the screws through the holes in the corner joint. Line the screws up with the channel of the frame. Drive the first screw a few turns, then drive the second screw a few turns. Once both of the screws are started, finish tightening them until the corner joint is fully seated against the end of the frame. The other end of the frame will line up with the corner joint on the side where the screws can be set into the joint from the side. At this end of the frame, it is easier to drive the screws into the channel frame a few turns and then set the corner joint onto the screws before tightening the corner joint to the frame. Carefully but firmly push the aluminum frames with the installed corner joints onto the long sides of the tray's bottom panel. Then install the short pieces of frame on the short ends of the panel. The ends of the frame should align with the corner joints. Carefully drive the screws through the corner joints into the short sections of the frame. Make sure that the corner joint and frame edges line up correctly. A little force may be needed to hold the sections in the correct position until the screws are set. When the cage and stand have been stacked, there will be a gap between them created by the legs of the pull-out tray corner caps on the bottom of the cage. You can see that there are two channels in the bottom of the 3RT trackwork installed in the bottom frame of the cage. If you have a pull-out floor, it should slide into the top track. The pull-out tray will slide into the bottom track. On large cages, the pull-out floor may sag in the middle. This is especially true for two-piece pull-out floors. You can use the pull-out floor clip to support the middle of the floor. The bottom of the clip will loosely snap onto the outer edge of the pull-out floor. The top of the clip will snap onto the top of the bottom frame of the cage. The clip will prevent the floor from sliding out and keep it from sagging.